welcome to the Chuck Shoot Podcast. It's been a while, but I'm back. I've got a guest here. My guest today is the producer of the Beth Friends show on 99.9 FM. And he also has a segment called Show Up Arizona, where he does interviews with interesting people, celebrities. Please welcome to the show, Billy Harfosh. I hope I said your name right.
You got it, man.
And is that all that information is right, too, right?
Yeah, more or less. We'll get into everything. Don't worry about it.
Okay, cool.
Chuck, by the way, jamming intro music.
Yeah.
Where did you get that?
I just found it online. I've actually been looking for a different intro, so that's interesting. You're complimenting that because I've been trying to dump it. Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me, man. Beautiful.
Thank you. Yeah, thanks for being on
here. And I'm happy to be here.
Yeah. So my first question, because we're going to start at the surface, and then we're going to go deep, because I know you like to go deep, right?
I do.
So first question, just looking at the surface, looking at you, you have long hair. So when I was in high school, I was a rocker, and there was two types of people with long hair. There was rockers. They had long hair, and then there was other people who I would try to befriend and say, "Oh, this guy's got long hair. He's a rocker." And I'd walk up and I'd be like, "What bands do you like?" And they'd be like, "Huh? I don't like music." And so, are you like a rocker type? Are you really into music, or you just have long hair to have long hair?
I would be probably in the fourth category. That's like,
there's a fourth category?
Yeah, that's like this guy that has this paranoia about someday going bald. So I guess there's no, and it's funny actually.
But you don't have a comb over or anything.
No, I don't. But it's like, it's just been a thing for a long time. So why cut it and keep it long, and hopefully it'll just go long and gray someday, and I'm happy with it.
Cool. All right. Well, it looks good. I saw it was shorter too. That looks kind of cool. It was like curly, and it was like cool.
Yeah.
So your background, you're from Syracuse, New York, right?
I am. Yeah. So I'm from Syracuse, New York, originally, and I went to college at the University of Louisville. And I didn't start in this radio game or broadcasting. I was just like a business major, marketing major, and just absolutely got my dream job out of college in Manhattan. And
what was your dream job?
Well, I'm kind of, a guy from New York. Everyone's dream is to kind of be in corporate America and to make money, to be a mover, a shaker in Manhattan, and to have a beautiful office overlooking, Times Square. And
I'm picturing the movie Wall Street with Michael Douglas.
Kind of like that, just like the movies. And once I achieved that, I realized that definitely wasn't for me, and that I was completely wrong. And I just needed to somehow get away, break away.
Greed is not good, is what you're saying.
No, yeah, it wasn't even really the money thing. It was, you know what it was, Chuck? It was being stuck in a cubicle day after day, not using any creativity, looking at spreadsheets.
Preach, brother, preach.
When I see that little icon on my computer for Excel, my heart starts pounding because I have anxiety. It's stuff like that. And I live under this premise of, really simple. It's one life, know, and you can say it's corny or it's cliche, but I don't have tattoos, but if I did, it would say one life, because I really believe that we just, we have one life to live, and every decision I make is based on that concept. And I just kind of said, I don't know if we can swear on here, but I said,
swear away. I would actually prefer if you do.
Okay, so I said fuck it, and I was in a long-term relationship, and and I had this job, and from the outside looking in, everything probably looked cool, but it wasn't. It wasn't cool in my head because of the one life thing. And I said, this is going to be me, and I'm just going to be working 60 hours a week, fighting for my next little $5,000 bump in pay raise, and a house with a white picket fence and 2.5 kids. That's not me. So I broke up with a long-term girlfriend. I quit my job, and I moved to Thailand.
Was there one moment where that hit where you said, I don't want to do this? Like, was there one thing that, like, a defining moment you remember?
Yeah, there was. We would have weekly meetings on Tuesdays with our management team, and they would go over all these spreadsheets and your pitches to clients and blah, 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 blah. And they would use all these, like, corporate terminology, like circle back. Like, if I got to hear, we'll circle back on that next week one more time. I'm going to. So it was kind of that, those meetings over and over, and in the suit and on the subway, and it's 95 degrees in the summer in New York, and you're trying, like, oh my God, what suit am I going to wear tomorrow, and who am I going to try to impress? It just was not me. I was not a corporate guy. I was not a suit. So like I said, I quit my job. I broke up with a girl. I moved to Thailand, and I kind of said, okay, I got a little bit of savings, but how am I going to live?
Right.
30 countries later, I finally found my calling.
Yeah, so that's what I was going to ask you about. I mean, I saw you've traveled to Poland, Amsterdam, Dominican Republic, France, Thailand, Germany, China. I mean, you've been all over the. How did you make that happen?
You know, again, when I tell people, if you're going to go away and live, not vacation, but to live abroad, you do need some level of savings. So I had savings.
Okay, so you had the savings.
But when that ran out, I had to find ways to live, to eat. Right. So I started doing some writing. I did some freelance writing for magazines back here in the States. And I started teaching English.
Oh,
and that's
smart.
It's a great way to see the world and to learn other cultures, make a little bit of money. I kept doing that. But again, it wasn't fully fulfilling. It wasn't living my one life dream. I always wanted to sit down and have conversations like this and talk about people's lives and share the incredible things that they're doing and try to help others. So I wasn't doing that, and I knew I had to do that in some capacity.
Right. So you ended up in Barcelona, Spain, which is not the worst place in the world to end up, right? In 2016.
It's not bad. It's not bad.
And so you ended up working there, and you worked. Was it a radio station, or how did you did some sort of show? That was the Going Deeper.
Yeah, Going Deep. So
Going Deep. Sorry.
So this is what. Well, before we go there, I just wanted to say, you, my friend, you do your research. I like that. There's a lot of people and shows, and you sit down and they don't really know. They're like, "Oh, tell me about yourself." So I would commend that because I try to do the same thing.
Yeah,
I know. Go into a conversation. You do your research, and you want to know when I knew that you were the real one, a real guy, and you're on that hustle is. And I hope I can share this with your audience a little bit behind the scenes. When you we connected on social media, you said one of the things, to be on my show that I would like you to do is to share it on social media. And I think that is such a cool thing because I think a lot of people don't do that. And my whole broadcasting story is growing through my guests. Right. I knew I wasn't a name. I knew that I wasn't famous. I didn't have all the glitz and glamour around me. So I said, well, I'm just going to bring in people that do, and I'll grow through them.
Exactly.
So I can't now because, my guests now are a little bit bigger, like, guy, I'm going to say, hey, Larry Fitzgerald, make sure you share this picture.
Right.
But, then I would do the same thing, almost like an ultimatum. You want to be on? That's fine. Share this photo, share this video, talk about the show. And I think a lot of people don't do that, or they're afraid to do that, or they don't have the business sense to do that. So when you asked me to do that, I was like, oh, okay, this guy gets it.
Right. No, that's exactly my mentality. It's like nobody gives a crap about me, but if I get all these other guests and then maybe I make some fans out of their fans, and and it just grows. My goal is to grow the show. So
that's it. So I wanted to commend you on that.
Thank
but
you.
anyways, the Barcelona thing, Barcelona's beautiful. Barcelona's great. What happened was I moved there with no job, with nothing. I left Poland and I got to Barcelona with this idea to do a podcast. Like, let's do a podcast. I'll find interesting people, blah, blah, blah. And out of the blue, on Facebook, this woman from Australia that had a radio program on Barcelona City FM, which is the only all-English station in all of Spain, she just hit me up and she was like, hey, you know what? I read a little bit about you. I've read some of your stuff. You got a cool story. Do you want to come down Monday morning and just be a guest on my show? I said, sure, why not? I did that, and when I left their studio that morning, I said to myself, I am going to find a way to get my ass in that seat. Not because I can do it better than her, but because I can learn and I can grow in this type of an atmosphere. This is what I want to do. It was
energizing to you. It was not draining like the business stuff.
It was fulfilling.
Yeah.
So, that just goes into my story of hustle, and I just kept hitting up the program director, hitting up the owner of the station. They gave me a chance. They gave me an audition. And, we had, what I would like to say is the biggest show in English in Spain. And we just grew, man. We had, 300-400 interviews. We had live performances every week. It was like a whirlwind, and people couldn't believe it. Like, what is going on? I just knew when I got the opportunity, I would capitalize. Yeah, no, it sounds like you did a great job. So you worked there for 2 years, and then did iHeart Radio, did they recruit you, or did you decide that you were going to move to Arizona, or how did that work? No, there's no recruiting. I mean, maybe Ryan Seacrest might get recruited, or Mario Lopez or something might get recruited. But it was through staying up all night, getting on the internet, writing letters, sending out resumes, sending out air checks. And remember, you're doing this from across the pond. So you're doing this with people see you and they're like, wait, is this guy Spanish? Does he speak fluent English? He's living over there. Does he expect me? And I got this. Does he expect us to fly him over for an interview? And, so there was a lot of walls, a lot of boundaries there, but I just kept knocking on the door. You just I mean, I can't even tell you how many hundreds of resumes and air checks and emails that I sent out. But I kept knocking on the door. I then said, you know, screw it again. And I traveled over here and I went to New York, and I have family in New York City, and went to a couple different places and literally knocked on the door. I said, screw the emails. And, you know, I work for...
I love these kind of stories.
Yeah, screw the email.
Yeah.
I work for iHeart Radio, as you said, now in Phoenix. And I can remember driving down Van Buren, pulling up, seeing ABC News, and then seeing the big iHeart Radio sign, pulling up there. Couldn't get in the elevator because the elevator, you needed a key card to get in. And I can remember waiting in the lobby till someone got in the elevator. I snuck behind him. I probably shouldn't say this because it was early in the morning. And I got up there and I gave my resume and I said, is there anyone here I could speak to? Any program directors? You know, we have 8 channels. So it's one of the biggest hubs of iHeart in the country. No, sir. Yeah. And actually, the girl that I work with now,
Bree,
she was you know Bree. It wasn't Bree, but I know Bree.
Yeah, no, that's the one I went and did the exact same thing. I drove
we're gonna get to you. Don't worry. So I gave her the resume and I had a nice letter and blah 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 and all this stuff, and nothing.
Yeah.
I went to San Diego. Nothing. I went to independent stations in LA. Nothing. Because I know what it looks like now from behind the scenes. There's a lot of that stuff comes in. They don't know who you are.
Yeah.
They can't take the time. Time is money. This is a business. And what happened was I wrote an email to Beth McDonald, who I work for now. And Beth is, you know, what we like to say, called the queen of the city. We just celebrated 35 years of Beth McDonald on 99.9 KEZ. 35 years in the business. So much longevity, so recognizable. I wrote her an email, and I just said, listen, you know, my mom watches you every morning on Fox 10. I know you're one of the best in the business. I'll be in the United States on this date. Can I buy you a coffee?
Wow.
And
that's a pretty ballsy move to email her.
Well, I was a ballsy type of guy because I had nothing to lose.
Sure, that's true.
What's the worst that's going to happen?
She's just going to ignore you.
She's going to ignore me. She responded. We set up a meeting. We had a cup of coffee. We hit it off. And then again, silence until a couple weeks later. And a gentleman from the traffic department gave me a call, and he said, look, I got your resume, blah, 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 when I come in. Got an interview, and I started out in news and traffic, which was not my overall goal, but I got my foot in the door.
Got your foot in the door, exactly. Very cool. So then it took a while, but then eventually you did get to, you're now producer for the Beth and Friends.
So now I produce the Beth and Friends morning show. I have my own program called Show Up Arizona.
Show Up Arizona, right?
That airs every weekend. I'm the only show that airs across all of our iHeart stations.
Okay.
And also, I guess it's okay to announce now, I don't know when this will air, but I'm also going to be doing, be on KEZ all night. So I'll be doing all the overnight shifts and everything like that on the air for KEZ. So you're going to be hearing a lot more from me.
That's exciting.
But the point of this whole story is you have to keep knocking on the door, get your foot in the door, and be willing to do anything and check your ego. You know, just keep your ego aside, because if you can do anything, and you
be willing to deal with the rejection, like you said, it was hundreds of how many doors you knocked on, and hundreds of emails and resumes,
and it's been a year, just over a year now. And when I walk in those walls, I can tell you, Chuck, I've never said no. I haven't been asked to clean the toilet or anything like that. But I've never.
When they ask you to do something, you're saying you've never said no. Yeah.
That word has never come out of my mouth.
Yeah, because you're so grateful to just have that opportunity to work there. Like, this is what you want to do. So
because when you look behind the scenes, it's not all glamorous.
Right.
You know, there's a lot of on-air people. There's a lot of friends I have now in television and stuff. Guess what? They're editing their segments.
Yeah.
They got a 6 a.m. deadline. Well, they're up at 3 a.m. and their eyes are bloodshot and they're trying to edit their segments to go on the news the next morning. It's not all going to events and drinking champagne and going to galas and all that. That's not what it is. It's about being diverse in your skills and just keep saying yes and prove yourself.
Mm-hmm. So now you guys, 99.9, you guys are all, you started Christmas music.
Yes. I'm in the Christmas spirit.
So you are the person that we blame for playing Christmas music too early.
Yeah, well, not me. You can talk to my boss about that. But yeah, we do, and we hit it. And, in the big league radio game, not the independent radio, but it's about ratings.
Yeah.
That's what it comes
So
down
the Christmas music gets a lot of ratings this early, huh?
Yeah.
Wow.
We get a lot of ratings. Plenty of ratings. Pretty good ratings. I saw the ratings today. They're pretty good.
No, I was listening and I was like, okay, I actually like these. Who doesn't like Christmas music, right? Unless you're a Grinch.
It gets people in the mood. People love to call in. They love to request songs.
And it is kind of getting to that. I mean, definitely after Thanksgiving, it's Christmas time. But.
Well, we went live November 6th. So
okay. So it's actually about a week after Halloween.
It's a week after Halloween. People are in the spirit. And let's face it, we have, I'm here in your studio looking out at palm trees and the sun is setting somewhere over there. And
I love it.
80 degrees out and it's, 5:30?
Yeah.
So it's not really the Christmas spirit. So we try to do that work for you by when you get in your car, you can hear a little bit of Christmas music.
Yeah. And then people start putting their Christmas lights up soon too. I think that's going to start happening. And then they have that, you ever been down to that spring training thing where you drive through the Christmas lights? I forget what it's called.
Down near Old Town?
No, it's in Tempe.
Oh no, I haven't.
Okay, it's
I haven't been to a lot of places. Somebody today said,
yeah, because you've only been here what, like a year?
Yeah, just over a year. Somebody said this Awatuki or something.
Yeah.
All these places, I don't even know what they are.
Yeah, like, I couldn't even pronounce half the words here, like saguaro and all that kind of stuff.
I'm just learning it, but it's a wonderful place to live. And for a guy like you that's doing this podcast, you're on the hustle. You're making a name for yourself. I think this is maybe the perfect place to live.
I love it.
It's not flooded like New York or LA.
No.
It's not dead like Mobile, Alabama. You can have plenty of cool guests. You can grow here. So I don't know. This is a good situation.
I think we have good stuff here. We have a good music scene, actually, and we have a good comedy scene. And and I've had some national guests, too. They usually have to call in, but, it works. So let's talk about some of the people that you've interviewed on the show up Arizona.
Sure.
First off, you don't seem like a short person, but I'm looking at that picture next to you of with DeAndre Ayton.
Well, I'm not very tall.
But he looks like Godzilla.
I think he's almost 7 feet tall.
Oh
and I have this
he's
problem,
tall.
Chuck. I keep interviewing these guys that are so freaking tall. Well, first of all, I thought some of the Cardinals guys were big.
Yeah.
I'm still trying to get Kyler Murray because he's actually, I think he might be just like my height, so I'll feel much better. But then I had, Larry's tall, but then I had Aiden, who's huge. I'm like, all right, well, that's just one guy. And then the next week I'm interviewing Randy Johnson, who's 6'11". So I'm like interviewing these guys that can barely reach the microphone to their face. But yeah, it's.
So with the sports interviews, are any of those stand out to you? Like, are you Arizona? You're probably not an Arizona sports fan. Being from New York.
I'm kind of. It's easy to become an Arizona sports fan because I don't feel like a carpetbagger. I don't feel like a bandwagon. If I was moving to New England, all of a sudden I'm a Patriots fan. That's different. But let's be real here. Arizona sports right now is not at the premier level. The Cardinals are building. We had a bad year last year. So I kind of am rooting for them. I'm rooting for the Coyotes. I'm rooting for the Diamondbacks because I feel like, I'm here now.
I noticed you didn't say you're rooting for the Cardinals, though.
Well, I am. No, I'm rooting for the I'm rooting for the Cardinals.
Do you have a sports team that like, are you New York sports fan then mostly?
Yeah, I'm a New York sports fan.
Jets or Giants?
I'm a neither. I'm a Buffalo Bills fan.
Oh,
I'm a Buffalo Bills fan. I'm a huge sports fan. But what I find here is this is a very transient town.
Yes, it is. There's a lot of fans of other teams.
Places.
Like myself, I'm a Seahawks
fan.
You're
a Seahawks fan. And when you go you go to the games or you go to the bars and they're playing San Francisco, a lot of that red is San Francisco red. Mm-hmm. It's not Cardinal red.
Exactly.
So that's a little bit disappointing. But I think they're building something here. I've gotten a chance to know some of the guys, and I think they're doing the right. And they got the right coach. They got the right quarterback. And patience.
Right, definitely. No, it reminds me of like when I was a Seahawks fan in the 80s, and you'd go to the Kingdom, and it would be all like more Chiefs and Raiders and Broncos fans than Seahawks fans. And now you go to the Cardinals games, but it's becoming. I've noticed that it is becoming more Cardinals fans over the years because I've been going to that Cardinals Seahawks game every year for the last 11 years, and so you're right. It's definitely growing.
Winning fixes everything. Whatever problems they have, financial fans.
Yeah.
If they win, the fans will be there.
Absolutely. So then you've done some music interviews. Some of the I just discovered. I was just telling you that I just found some guy, and you didn't remember. I'm like Adam Giles Levy. Yeah. I just stumbled upon it, and you're like, it's one of those hundreds that I did. But he had a great song, so shout out to that guy. I don't know if he. But that was one, and then there were some bigger names, obviously too. The Goo Goo Dolls.
Yeah.
Hosier. Alice Cooper.
Yeah, I did an interview. Hosier,
is that how I say it?
Or Goo Goo Dolls, but they came
the
in.
one who does Back to the Take Me to
Me to
Church.
Church.
Yeah, it's a good song.
But those guys came in and played at our sound space. But
Oh, okay, is that what it was?
The kind of the cooler point to all of that is like there is so much talent out there. The guys that are not named Alice Cooper or Ozzy Osbourne or whatever. There's so many thousands of musicians that like you just pulled up a song of somebody we don't even know.
It was amazing.
It sounds really good.
Yeah.
But what separates the ones that are on the tip of our tongue and the ones that we know or the ones that are on the radio from the ones that we've never heard of and we never will? I don't know. Does that get back to our, knocking down doors? Does that get
it might
luck? I don't like
or
luck.
the social media or getting out there.
Social media. I don't like luck. I say fuck luck.
No,
but
I don't think it's luck.
I don't think it's luck either.
I could say maybe sometimes you get a break.
I'll tell you this, and I don't want to say any names because I'm sure that this podcast is going to go out, and I wish you so much success. So hopefully you get this. We can send this out over to Europe, to Spain. But there's a couple artists I can think of right now that are super talented, incredibly talented, but they don't have the work ethic. They don't release the music. They're not active on social.
Yeah.
They're not making connections at the local clubs. They're not going on tour. You know why? There's an excuse. No, I only want to play twice a year when everything's perfect. The sound, the lighting, the photographer, the venue. You got to put yourself out there. And I think there's a lot of people that don't, and there's a lot of musicians that don't. And talent doesn't have, I don't think, that much to do with it. There's plenty of talent.
No, and that goes just not for just music, but also what we talked about with sports or anything, basically.
Everything. So let's talk about you for a second. So you got talent.
Oh, you're turning the tables on me now.
I mean, I'm just saying. You research. You're a good interviewer. You're
Thank you.
Putting your podcast out there. You're getting your social up there.
Nice
you
of
have
you
a
to
great
say.
name, Chuck Shoot. I mean, geez, how could you have a better name for broadcasting? But what about you? Where do you want this podcast to go? I
mean, my goal is just to grow it. I'm not in a rush. I'm kind of playing the long game, I guess. So kind of like what you said with the guests, trying to build it. Like if every guest I get, maybe if I could get 5 or 10 fans from it, and then maybe eventually get bigger guests, and then get they have a bigger phone. Maybe then I'm getting 10 or 20 fans per guest.
So what's your kind of game plan to get bigger guests?
Just to it's a numbers game. I think is the more like I want to interview as many people as I can, like as many musicians in Phoenix and nationally, but especially like if everybody in Phoenix, if every musician knows me because I've interviewed them, and every comedian in Arizona that's a big name or that's somewhat good knows me because I've interviewed them, then I have a name. Then I kind of do have a name, right?
Yeah. You're
so
right.
I've got connections, and maybe it goes more than that. Like maybe I'm gonna promote some events and I can have bands come or comedians or whatever. And I just want to be involved. Yeah. Like, so here's my thing, like just real quick with my story. Like it's very similar to yours. Like when you were talking, I was like, oh my gosh, this sounds exactly. I spent 17 years in education. I was a guidance counselor, and it was the similar kind of thing. Like the goal was different in education because you're working for the government. So it's not about making money. It's about not spending money, but it's a lot of this BS meetings and it just wasn't. And for some people, they love it. They love teaching and all that stuff. For me, it was just one BS thing. I mean, there was days where I was doing grunt work, but I didn't see the purpose of it. You know what I mean? Like I didn't see the end goal. Like what was the thing you said at the beginning about having one life, right? Yeah. I was like, what am I doing? I'm 40 plus years old and I'm working I hate my job. Like I don't get any respect. Every person I've interviewed on my podcast has been so nice to me and like so respectful and so complimentary. And so it's like just the opposite doing this. It's really like energizing. Whereas my other job was just very draining. So I just want to be involved in this. Like you said, like I just want to get my foot in the door at iHeart Media. I was like, I'll do anything. I don't care, so I applied for sales jobs. I think I could do that. I could do whatever, whatever they have.
Yeah.
But,
I respect that. And I feel the same way. You like kind of give me a chill when you were saying about just being draining, and I have this picture in my mind of, a calendar. And when you like a red marker, you kind of cross off those days. But if you look at the days,
that is funny that you said. I literally had one of those in my office, and my one of my coworkers said, "What is this, like a prison sentence where you're how prisoners tally up the?"
I had the same thing. You look at you cross. This was before. Now all the calendars are on the iPhone. You cross off those days, and I remember you would look at it in the red. You look at all the red. and you would say, okay, well, what am I proud of in those X'd off days? Or what did I really do? I mean, okay, maybe I made some money for a company.
Yeah.
But am I happy? This is my I just lived my last November of 2011. November 2011 forever is gone because I will die, right? I will die. We all will die.
That's true.
That's gone.
That's
so I spent those 30 days and those hours doing what?
Exactly.
It's gone.
Yeah.
So that's when your mind shifts.
Yes.
You start taking chances. You start taking risks.
That's I quit last year. I quit. I said I'm done. I don't care what I'm going to do. And so I honestly, like, I've been driving Uber and Lyft, and I've said, and everyone's like, asked me when they pick them up, like, oh, what do you do? Is this your full-time thing? I'm like, well, it is temporary, hopefully, but I figured I could always go back to education if I need to, but I'm going to try to give something a shot, do something different.
Yeah.
Maybe if not in the media, then, I've thought about maybe doing insurance or something, but I was like, I got to get out. Like, and I think if you have that, like, feeling in your mind and you just like you have to get out, you kind of have to pull the trigger eventually. Like it's not going to go away. You're not going to be able to stuff that feeling down. So
eventually you do. And I tell people, because I've had people kind of contact me because I'm always talking about this concept of one life. And you got to be careful because you want to do it in a smart way. That's why I mentioned, when I just picked up and moved overseas, I did have some money.
Yeah.
Because there's people that get themselves jammed up and they do things, and it's difficult to kind of say this, but you need cash. I'm sorry, people.
Yeah.
Like, if you really want to make a huge push and you really want to change your life and you're stuck in Syracuse, New York, and you want to come out to LA and try your hand at acting, have a little nest egg there. Have an emergency fund, something. Do it in a smart way. Drive Uber for 6 months, save up some money, and then make the move.
Yeah. No, I had savings too, so I'm okay. Like I'll be fine. I'm not too worried about it, but it was kind of a bold move to finally I've been talking about it for years. I've been applying for other jobs, but I said I gotta pull the trigger on this. It's now or never. So
what's your ideal a year from now, a year from today?
Ideal?
Yeah, your ideal position.
I mean, doing this for money would be ideal in a year. That'd be like a dream. Yeah.
Have you tried to monetize this podcast?
Not yet, because I haven't gotten that. I don't think I've got the numbers yet.
Okay.
But
all right.
yeah,
well,
I mean, that's the thing, is like trying to grow it.
Sure.
But yeah, getting in with a company like iHeart Media or something like that, I think that would be, for some reason, I just have this thing in my mind. I'm like, I need to work there. It's 10 minutes from my house. Like, it's national. It just, it's the John Jay and Rich show. Like, there's something about, I'm like, this is where I need to be.
So wait, can we get really crazy?
Yeah.
You can edit this out if you want to.
Okay.
If we can get really crazy.
No, go ahead.
So,
go crazy.
This is what fascinates me. So you say that, and you look at me in the eyes, and you have such conviction that that's what you want to do. That's where you need to be. It's 10 minutes from your house. John Jay and Rich. Boom. What steps have you taken, other than the resume? What have you done?
So yeah, like I applied for all those jobs, and then I went in there. And I dropped off my resume to the girl up front. She probably thought I was crazy. And and then I've called a couple times and I've left messages with your HR person.
Okay.
And then I was kind of like getting frustrated. And then it was just the most random thing, where a musician that I interviewed on this podcast, Brandon Gibbs, he posted that he's coming to Arizona playing CB Live in January 11th, and it said something. I don't know why you're there or something. You're part of that, or
yeah, I think that event has a charity behind it. And
okay.
We're doing something with that.
Yeah. So all I saw your name and I saw iHeart Media, and I go, oh, what? Like, and he had shared the post. Now I was so excited because I saw iHeart Media that I didn't really realize he was sharing someone else's post because his name is in it. And then I asked him, like, hey, can you introduce me to this guy that works at iHeart Media? Like, because I mean, Brandon and I are not friends, but I interviewed him. He's a nice guy. I know he's like, he would respond to my message. And he responded and he goes, I don't know who that is. And I said, oh, well, you shared the post. And then I think at that point I had already messaged you.
Yeah, I didn't know who he was.
And so then, and you didn't know who he was. So I was like, oh, well, I guess I kind of screwed up, but then it kind of worked because then you started talking to me and you responded and I said, hey, you want to come on my podcast? Like, and you said, sure. I was like, perfect. Well, let's talk. So,
all right. Well, so you've taken a lot of steps. You've sent your stuff out. You've made calls. You've showed up. You're making connections. But how many people that say every day that they really want something, but they maybe took one step or half a step, and then they just kind of
right.
They kind of quit. So like for you, I don't know.
Oh no, I'm not. I haven't quit yet.
Right.
I was gonna wait because I was gonna call and leave another message, but I was like, well, maybe I should wait till this interview. And then, cause you gave me some really good advice. You're like, oh, you need to, send me a resume and an air check. And I'm like, oh, they didn't even ask for an air check. So
right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Send out air checks. Like, we want to hear you. Send out your real show. You know what I mean? In a small, people send huge files.
Oh, I thought it was like 30 seconds.
Yeah, it can be. They just want to hear your voice. Like program directors will never listen to like a 30-minute show.
Right.
They don't have time for that. But so you've took the steps to set yourself up for success. But so many people are like, I want to play at I want to play Rock Bar by next month. Okay?
Oh yeah.
Well, who do you know at Rock Bar? How many times have you gone in there drinking? Did you get too drunk? Like,
right.
Did you connect yourself? So I just think that there's a lot to be said about not just going the traditional way of sending in a resume, but
no. I agree. Yeah. So my whole thing, like I had this other like little side business that I tried because I was a counselor, and so I tried to do like a coaching business, and it was called Shoot for the Moon, and that was the whole thing. It was like just try for like the Super Bowl basically. Like you're trying for you're just gonna try so hard for the biggest thing, and if you don't get it, it's kind of like your email to Beth, like. What's the worst that could happen? The worst you're going to do is just not respond. So
nothing is going to happen. It's like asking out at the pretty girl at the bar.
Right.
It's the worst thing. Yeah.
I mean, I've asked so many, how many guests I've asked to do my podcast that have just, but you know what? Everybody in this business is like, they just ignore you, and that's fine. I'm like, they don't send you a nasty message back like, how dare you ask me to do your, they just ghost you, and that's fine. I'm fine with that.
And that's no problem. And I think that
I can deal with that.
I think probably for your listeners that don't want to be musicians or don't want to be in broadcasting or don't want to be whatever, but they're in sales. Again, take that shot.
Sales, that's even more.
Take that shot. Send out that email.
You gotta be more aggressive.
Show up at that office at 7 a.m. with some Dunkin' Donuts and whatever.
Yeah,
Starbucks,
that's
whatever
super
you
competitive.
Do. Yeah, but just take the extra step.
Yeah, absolutely. So get back to some of those musicians that you interviewed. Now, is this one picture, like I saw this, you didn't interview him, but you ran into Ozzy Osbourne in Beverly Hills?
I did.
Was that really him?
Yeah, it was really him. Yeah. So
wow.
So I was in Beverly Hills, and I'm a New York guy, so like everything California and palm trees to me is so beautiful and exotic. And we were, I was at the Beverly Hills Hotel at the bar, and we're just kind of scoping things out. We're like, holy crap, these drink prices are really high. So kind of scoping things out, and I look over in one of the cabanas, and there's Ozzy and Sharon and what's his son's name?
Oh,
his son.
Kelly's the girl.
Kelly wasn't there, but the whole crew was there, and even I recognized from the show the nanny.
Oh,
and,
wow! Still the same nanny. Huh?
There's the same nanny. I said, there's Ozzy, whatever. And I waited till he had to take a piss, and and
he wasn't pissing on ants this time.
No, he wasn't pissing on ants. Yeah, right. But that place is a place where you don't really bother people. It's kind of an unwritten rule, and kind of thing. But I had to go up to him, and I introduced myself, and he was so nice and so kind. And that's another theme that's kind of been through kind of what you said about your guests, that people that are successful, and when I say I mean ultra successful on the highest of levels, I swear to God, 99% of the ones I've came across have been just so kind. And there's a reason they're successful. Yeah, no, and I think part of it too has to be that they're doing what they love. They're not doing the business or education job that they hate, and then they're just miserable. They're doing something they love. So like, why wouldn't they be happy? Like you assume they're going to be happy, right? Like that's true. They should be. I mean, that is the goal. If you can't have all the success and still not be happy, like there's not a lot of hope for you. I don't think. True. So that's a good point. Yeah. So is it weird when you're interviewing a musician that you might not necessarily be a fan of, or are you still interested in them just because they're successful in their field? And yeah, I'm just interested in people. It's just a people thing. Like I get in conversations everywhere I go. It's just. And when you sit down with someone, you realize, like, oh, he's just a human. We're just a bag of blood. It's kind of weird way to say. That's what I think about. Like, I really do. You're like, okay, well, that guy or that good image, or maybe it's a girl, and maybe it's a beautiful woman that's got a voice from heaven, and maybe she's a little bit standoffish, and maybe she's a little bit of a prima donna. But she's a bag of blood, just like you, just like me. So it's like when you just make a little challenge in your mind. Like I love that. I'm going to break this person down. I want to get to know, even if it's for 2 minutes. I want 2 real minutes, just 2, and then it becomes all right. Yeah, no, it's very cool. So, and then some of the other people besides musicians and sports people, you interviewed one of my favorite comedians, Louie Anderson. He was one of the biggest stand-up comedians back in the 80s. I guess I'm dating myself here because I remember when there wasn't that many comedians, and he was one of the biggest.
But he talked about, you guys talked about success, and his advice was be present and put everything you have into stuff.
He's I don't know, how old is he now? How many decades in the business?
I don't know.
He's won all the awards.
Looks great.
He looks great. He's active with Eddie Murphy. And guess what? He's still on the road honing his craft.
Yeah.
He's still hitting the stage. Every day he wakes up is for his comedy. He's still writing. Guy doesn't need to do that. I mean, he hosts a Family Feud. There's got to be some money somewhere.
That's true.
Right?
Yeah.
So,
and he had all those specials, and I'm sure he's set for life. But yeah, he probably loves doing it.
He loves doing it, and from the outside, it might look like it's all fun and games, but he talked about discipline. And, you know, and that's something you don't see. And going back to the musicians, you see them on stage and they look all effed up and they look like they're on drugs and they're drunk. You know what? A lot of them, that's a show, man. You know how many bands I've been backstage with? They're not drinking vodka and drinking beers. Maybe afterwards.
Yeah.
But they
especially once they get, like Guns N' Roses, I think they're all, I mean, they used to be that way.
Sure.
And then they get older. You can't play that game forever.
You can't. And also on the rise, unless you're ultra talented, on the rise up, you can't play that game forever. You know, you're playing a new city every night. You got to have your head, and you're going out there to perform. And I think that's what Louie does, is that, you know, he's friends with Eddie Murphy and this guy, and he just, you know, as that show Zach Galifianakis, it looks great. But he, you know, because we talked off the air, he goes on set every day like it's his first day on set. You know, and that's what I want to do. I want to walk in that studio every morning like it's my first day in the studio, and just really respect that.
No, that's very cool. And he's going to be in the new Coming to America 2.
Yeah, he's going to be Coming to America 2. Yeah, how cool is that? Yeah.
So, and then this was an interesting interview that I saw you do too. Well, you had a couple different people talking about the self-driving cars, and I think you mentioned this a little bit at the beginning, but I had never thought about this. But I was talking to somebody the other day about the self-driving cars. What about hackers? Yeah, that is kind of scary. You didn't really get into it too much, but
see, you know what you're talking about here. You've done your research. There's a little kind of thing when you do interviews with corporations.
Yeah.
There's certain subjects that aren't allowed to be talked about. So you got to work under those parameters. And, you know, and that could also be with individuals. You might be interviewing a businesswoman or something, and she says, look, I'm not going to talk about my divorce, even though it's in the news right now.
Right.
Or I'm not going to talk about when I got my DWI 5 years ago because, you know, whatever. Or I'm not going to talk about my drug addiction. But it's the same way for corporations. So, I think the hacking thing is crazy. I think the other crazy thing is jobs. I mean, people are going to lose a lot of jobs. This is coming, self-driving cars. They're going to lose jobs. There's going to be hackers. What happens when a self-driving car is going down the road and it has to make a decision between hitting the little boy crossing the street versus swerving into 3 90-year-old women?
Yes.
You know, that's all going to be programmed
That's one,
in.
is it? It is going to be programmed in.
Well, I would assume. Then who gets sued? Is it the self-driving car company? Is it the driver? Because they're just a passenger. Is it the government? Because this is the regulations they put in place.
There's a lot of problems. That is crazy.
Yeah.
So, of all the interviews you did, who was was there a favorite interview that stands out? Or
you know what? This is not a political show, but you know what I'm really kind of jazzed up on right now is interviewing politicians, and not really for the politics side of it, but just, again, getting to know them as humans and kind of get to see under the hood as to why they believe what they believe and why they're in what party they're in. And sometimes that can be kind of uplifting and motivating. Like, wow, this person goes to work every day and really wants to help.
Right.
She might have these views, which I don't agree with, but they're trying to help. And then sometimes it's a little bit disappointing because you can kind of read between the lines. Like, this person gets up every day and is trying to you know, be political and play the politics game. So, but that's what I really like.
No, that would be really interesting to know because, you're right. You just see one piece of it on TV and the media and stuff. So to actually know why, and I think that's just fascinating with people in general. Just talking to anybody with the politics and like, okay, that's interesting. You believe that. Why do you believe that way? And then trying to get, like, you go deep as you like to do.
Right.
So.
And especially in today, it's so polarizing with everything with politics, but taking the politics out of it, you know, and just getting to know them as a human. Like, I've had the chance to have Phoenix Mayor Keke Ego a couple times and got to know her a little bit. And it's like, I don't even really think about politics when I'm having a conversation with her. I just want to know her as a woman, as a mom, as someone that's trying to make decisions every day to make this a better city.
Right. Yeah. No, and I think that's the thing is, like, I have conservative friends, I have liberal friends, and like I it's fine. Like we don't have to agree on everything. Like people that are Seahawks fans and friends and people that are Cardinals. Sure. I mean, that's kind of what it seemed like. It always used to be that way. And then it like you said, things got more polarizing. And it's like, we need to get back to just like, it's okay to have differing views. Like try to understand each other. Right. That's like what's really
right. And everybody likes to kind of hit on billionaires or ultra celebrities or Justin Bieber or Kim Kardashians of the world. But what I've found is it's easy to like successful people. To me, like it would be easy to hate XYZ politician, but when you get to know them as a human, I don't know, they're kind of easy to like. Like it's like I don't even agree with his politics. I don't like what he's voted for the past 10 years, but kind of want to go have a beer with him.
Right? Isn't that what is that picture that caused all the uproar? Was Ellen and George Bush hanging out? And it's like,
they kiss,
but they're just people. Like
they kiss.
I think it was.
Or no, that was Jennifer Aniston.
Ellen and Howard Stern. I don't know. I forget.
Well, anyways, you mix the politics, and when you get that right down to it, again, bag of blood.
That's great. Well, one person they interviewed too that I thought was interesting was the psychic, and you said you kind of started out as a skeptic, but. So tell me, like, how, like, you really believe in were you kind of getting chills from the stuff that she was saying and stuff, or?
Shout out Melinda Val. Melinda Val, yes. She's one of the premier psychics.
Right.
I said psychic, but she's actually a medium.
Medium, okay.
One of the premier mediums that talks to the deceased, to people that have passed in the whole world. She's been on all the big shows with all the fancy psychics, when you see on the talk shows and stuff like that. I don't know, Chuck. There's some things that she brought up that I have no idea how she would know about me, which is fine, but there's the internet and people can Google people. But then I brought another gentleman, Grant, in the studio, who's on the John Jay and Rich show.
Yeah, I heard
she had no idea, number one, that he was...
Oh, she didn't know he was coming?
No, I told them a day before that I'm going to bring someone in the studio. I don't even know if I said staff. Someone in the studio. And she said, sure, tell him to bring a photo someone that's passed.
Okay.
Grant came in. He brought a photo of his friend that had passed, a young friend that had passed. And she looked at the photo when he came in. She said, accident. What kind of accident did he have? Well, this gentleman fell off a cliff, So she already knew accident. She picked out his name. His name was, I believe it was Michael. She picked out his name. She knew my mom's name. She knew my brother's name. She knew personal things about me. Then when it got weird was she's looking at Grant, and Grant's a young, good-looking guy just like you. And she said,
thanks.
She said, tell me about your struggle with addiction. Well, Grant went through addiction. He went through extreme addiction. And I knew this as his friend.
Okay.
She wouldn't have known that. So there was a lot of things. I don't know, whatever, but a lot of things that were weird, and you sometimes you bring someone on, it's a bit, and it's going to be fun, and then all of a sudden it turns real.
Whoa!
So check out Melinda Val. It's VAIL.
Yeah, I'll have to. My sister-in-law's really into that kind of stuff. I'll have to ask her if she's heard of her. But so besides mediums, are there other things that you've kind of used to help keep you sane, like counseling or meditation or drugs, or is there anything that kind of helps you unwind or relax?
I would just love to be so cool, and say meditation, but I can't do it, man. I can't get into it. Maybe I haven't tried hard enough.
Really? See, if I saw you on the street, I go, that guy meditates. I think it's the hair.
Yeah. No, I can't get into it. I've tried yoga a little bit. I can't get into it. I go to the gym.
Oh, okay.
That's what I do.
Yeah.
I work out. I just got a bike. I need to be outside and just feel the air. If I'm going to bed at 9 o'clock and it's 7 and I'm feeling overwhelmed, I just go downstairs and I hit the gym, and that's my therapy, and then it just clears your head.
Yeah. No, that's how I feel when I go swimming. That's my new thing is I swim every day, and you can do that here. We have a heated pool in Arizona. It's like,
right.
It's like it clears your head. It is kind of like a meditative experience for me because I'm exercising, but I'm also, when you start moving, I feel like your thoughts change.
Yeah. How about this? Go for a walk. You don't have to break a sweat.
That's true.
If you're going through something really difficult right now in your life, and you're sitting and listening to this podcast, put in your earbuds or whatever you have, and just walk around the block a couple times while you're listening to us. I'm telling you, when you
or even walk around your house and start cleaning stuff.
Whatever. Do something. Get the blood moving.
Yeah. So in one interview, you said one of the greatest compliments that you could get is somebody well-known in your line of work praising the work you do. So do you have any compliments that stick out that you've received? Because you didn't mention any compliments that you got, but
I got to tell you, that's such super question, by the way.
Thank you.
Working in the building that I work in, I
Yeah.
work with some of the most talented people in the country. I mean, we have syndicated shows, which means national shows.
Yeah.
I work for Beth McDonald, who I view as the best personality in this city for many years, a great entertainer. And when you're around talented people and around that kind of work ethic, just being included and being asked to do things is enough praise for me.
Wow. That's awesome. It sounds like you have a lot of gratitude. Is that something that's important to you?
It's 100%. Every time I look at my emails and I'm getting overwhelmed, I'm like, oh shit, I got to do this, and oh shit, I got to go here, and oh, how am I going to do this? And which was like today. You know what I mean?
Well, thanks for coming then.
No,
Yeah,
I mean not even this. Just things just build up.
Yeah.
But then it goes back to that G word. It's like gratitude. Man.
That's what I've heard. A lot of successful people, they all say that. I mean, I don't know if it's partly because they all have all the success, so then they, of course, are going to be grateful. But
cheesy,
it's like almost like that's how they got there, was just, okay, I'm grateful for this small thing I have, and then it's like they got more, and they just became more grateful, and then it's like that, like it's almost like feeds more and more into it.
Dude, it's all cheesy.
It is cheesy, yeah. No, I'm totally cheesy. I admit it. First,
I gotta tell him, shout him out, Gary V.
I love Gary V. Oh my God, I can't get enough of that guy.
People want to hate on Gary V.
No, what? How do you?
If I need
love
a
that
kick in
guy.
the ass,
Yeah.
you put on a Gary V podcast, or you better yet, go to YouTube and put on Gary V. He'll give you a kick in the ass.
Oh, yeah.
And guess what? It's simple. There's no
it's not rocket
there's
science.
No
It's
Socrates.
you know what helps with that, I think, is him swearing. It helps, like, it gets my attention. I'm like, oh, okay. He said, get your fucking ass up and go work. Yeah, like
I love it.
Yeah, I like his Instagram too, because it's just short little things, and I'm like, oh, that's the daily kick in the ass I needed.
Yeah.
So.
He's a one life guy,
and he's smart. It's good advice. Like,
and you know what I like about him? He's a kick in the ass. Like, get up, get going now, hurry up. This New York thing. But then he says, guess what you have? Time. Patience.
Yeah.
Patience.
No, that's
so everything
true.
we're talking about, breaking down doors and moving away to wherever, you still got time.
Yeah.
You got time. Even if you're 70, hopefully, the clock is ticking, but you still got, you still have time.
Could have 20 years. Who knows?
So
the way people are living now.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you've definitely achieved a lot of success, I think. But looking at all your internet and radio life, I mean, you kind of almost make it look easy. Like, have you had any adversity that you faced in your life, and how do you handle that?
Well, like I said, fuck luck and easy. I don't have a slogan for that.
Yeah.
But there's nothing easy. And
just like all those, like when you had to take 100 resumes out there and stuff like grind.
You got a show on Monday, and you have one guest on Sunday night that just canceled. You have no other show. You better stay on the internet all night, and you better find a good band to come in, because you're trying to build your name. And you don't want the owner of the station saying, oh, well, Billy just came in for 3.5 hours and played Bruno Mars. Where's that going to get you? Anyone can hit play.
Yeah.
There's nothing easy, man. I mean, notebooks full of names, thousands of emails, showing up to events, sneaking into areas and concerts and things that I shouldn't have been at. Always pushing.
You're making me feel really lazy right now.
No, but that's what it is. I'm serious. That's what it is. And you can get complacent because you say, oh, well, I kind of achieved what I want. Like you said, I want to work for some media company, whatever it might be. Well, knowing you just from the last, half hour, you'll probably get there. You're a smart guy. Keep pushing, you'll get there.
I hope so, yeah. Thank you.
But that's when it starts.
Yeah.
That's when it starts.
It starts even more.
That's when the game begins.
Yeah. I feel like it's already a game, just trying to get in. It's like it's fun. It's like a game.
Felt.
You're right.
You have this moment, and I like celebrating the wins, big wins, but small wins too. It's like you have a glass of wine, with people you care about, and you tell your family, I got this job, and now I'm doing this. And guess what? I have a show on the air. I'm broadcasting to millions of people. Well, we just started. That's the successful ones. That's when they hit the horsepower. They hit the gas.
No, that's true. Yeah,
otherwise, there's only one way to go. It's down.
So what other goals do you have set for yourself in the future? Like, do you want your own TV show, or what else do you have on the horizon?
Right now, I'm laser focused on Show Up Arizona. And sort of the premise of Show Up is actually showing up to everything that you can show up and trying to motivate others, get involved in the community. And I believe that very soon it's going to be the premier show, the premier space in this whole state for people that want to show goodness, show gratitude, for celebrities, for charities, for normal everyday people that want to show that they are living their dream and they're doing that one life like we talked about. And, I think that that's the space for it. You know, I've been given sort of this gift of this airtime that I don't have to play music. And guess what? I'll let you in another secret. I don't have to play commercials. I have a lot of freedom to highlight extraordinary people right here in the state. That's what we're doing. We're going to continue to do it. We're going to keep pushing the gas. And I'm laser focused on that. So I hope you have me back another time and, you know, a year from now or whatever.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And I know it will be the premier show for people to show up.
That's awesome. So tell me more. I did ask you to pick a charity that you're passionate about. Yeah. Is there something that you...
Yeah, I mean, I speak to so many great charities every day, but there's two that I'd like to highlight.
Okay.
And there's different ways to get involved. But we're around the holidays right now, and Priscilla and Matthew Blades, they're the hosts in the morning of Mix 96.9 and iHeart Radio. Shout out Mix 96.9. And they have an organization called Cards for Kids, and they buy gift cards for kids of, I want to say I hope I don't screw this up. Is it Title I schools?
Yep,
I believe.
No, that's right, because I worked in education,
right?
so I know that.
Title I schools, and you would know better than me, but these kids, you know, they need a little boost. They need a little help. And
Absolutely.
These are kids that their parents can't afford lunch.
Yeah.
So they're getting vouchers for lunch and all that. So people are going out there. We want minimum $50. They're spending $50 on gift cards. You know, you go to Cards for Kids, go to mix969.com. And the other one is the Million Meals Crusade. It used to be the Million Cans Crusade, but the Million Meals Crusade is a huge organization. And right now in Arizona, Tim Bedenbrook from CanX Country, they're heading it up. And I'm kind of, our whole company is working with them. Tim Bedenbrook, CanX, it's 102.5. You can get in touch with them. And we're looking for people to give food. We're looking for any non-perishable?
Yeah.
Non-perishable canned items. Of course, cash. Cash is king. Cash is check, Venmo, whatever you want to do.
Sure.
And we're looking to help people around the holidays that, you know, I'm going to be sitting in front of a big turkey. I don't even eat turkey. I'm going to have a beautiful meal on Christmas.
Right.
But, you know, I'm a small percentage. There's a lot of people right here in Phoenix, they don't know that they're not going to have a big, beautiful holiday meal. And they don't have beautiful places to live and places to sleep at night. So we're trying to help those people out. So I would say, Cards for Kids and Million Meal Crusade.
Those both sound great.
And if you don't know how to get in touch with me on Instagram. Here's my plug. At Billy Harfosh. Spell it out. If you can't spell it, then you shouldn't have found it.
Well, you should. Yeah, it should be on the podcast where I'll have that all
Seriously,
promoted.
at Billy Harfosh. Send me a message if you want to give. I'll link you up to the right people. iHeartMedia in Phoenix. We're making a huge push this holiday season.
Very cool. So, I mean, it sounds like you've done it all. You've traveled the world. You worked as a producer on one of the top shows here in Arizona. You've interviewed some great people. Sounds like there's a lot more to come. I just want to thank you so much for coming on my show today. People can find you on Facebook, Instagram under the name Billy Harfosh. Follow Billy. Check out his interviews.
Yeah, Show Up Arizona, Sundays in the 6 a.m. hour across all of our stations, and Sunday nights in the 10 p.m. hour on Mix 96.9, and you can hear me every night very soon.
And then
KEZ.
if they miss the interviews, they can find them on
the
internet?
You can go to our webpage on KEZ, but we don't post all of that. So if you really want to go
See, that's what I think, because I was trying to find the Alice Cooper interview, and I couldn't find that.
Well, Alice is upcoming. We're going to be doing something with Alice for his charity concert, and I don't know if it's announced yet about his charity concert, but he's having the original band.
Christmas Pudding?
Yeah,
that's right. I did see that.
He's having the original
band.
I heard today that there's a very special guest coming that's going to MC it, do some comedy, Jim Brewer.
Whoa, he's awesome.
He's got some heavy hitters coming to town, so we're going to do something around that.
That'll be fun.
Yeah, and Alice Cooper is another guy that's just doing awesome things in our community, and he travels the world. He's a huge star, but he's focused right here in Arizona.
I probably told the story like 20 times to people on the podcast, but it is a great story that I saw him at the Paradise Valley Mall one time, and I knew it was him. I walked right by him.
How did you know it was him without all the face?
Well, so it's funny. I just watched some sort of documentary or interview or something, and he was in it. And so maybe he was on my mind, but I walked right, and I was like, that's Alice Cooper. And my girlfriend goes, no, it's not. And I go, I guarantee that's him. I go, Alice. And he just, he's kind of old. He's an older guy. So he kind of slowly turns around and he just looks at me and goes, yes. And then I didn't know. And then I froze and I was like, rock on. And then that was all I got. And I was like, why did I get a picture? And then I told the story to my cousin, who he's a reporter on Channel 12. And he goes, he's interviewed him and he goes, Oh, he would have taken a picture. He's a real nice guy. I was like, damn it. So,
yeah, real sweet guy.
Yeah.
But, you know, before we go, because I can feel like we're wrapping up here, I wanted to just say.
No, anything else? Yeah, please feel
one
free.
last
Any
thing.
other plugs or?
I just wanted to say Chuck Shoot is maybe the best name in the game right now. Chuck Shoot, S-H-U-T-E. There's so many little puns and funny stuff.
Yeah, maybe I need to change the name. Maybe that's the problem.
You might need to change the name and contact one of these musicians you have on that can do some nice intro music.
Well, that's what I was trying to get. Have you heard of Eddie Eberly? He's a local guy, really talented. I interviewed him, and I told. He said he'd do my theme song, but then I need to follow up with him. He's a super talented kid. So
well, Chuck Shoot, best name in the business. I
Thank
love
you.
your hustle. You got a great setup here.
Thank you.
Everything's very nice, very professional. I'm very privileged to be here. Just keep it up.
Thank you, and thank you for being on here so much and taking the time to come over. And
good things are coming. Remember, you got one life.
All right, thank you. All right, bye-bye.